We have a spectacle!
Also, it took 3 months to build, so I don't want to waste it.
I give you the War Wolf!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sunday Night Sounding Off Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Gonzalez. This guy, this guy, Kevin Michelizzi.
Yeah.
American
that's
in
it.
Crimea. Yeah, the other guy, something like that. Anyway, welcome to tonight's Sounding Off Podcast, our show coming to you live from Moscow, Russia. Cold Moscow, Russia. I don't know. What is it right now? It's like, I'll tell you how cold it is. It's 12 degrees Fahrenheit. Because I know we're talking to folks in the West. So maybe you'll understand. 12 degrees Fahrenheit. What is that? Like minus 10? 12?
24 minus 32. So, yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
And of
But
course,
anyway,
I'm in warm Crimea, where it is 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. And, I was showing this to Eddie. I guess I should show it to you guys too. We had a beautiful, beautiful sunny day today. Look at that beauty.
Coming down. It's coming down.
Coming
It
down.
snowed here all
We're getting
afternoon too.
Yeah, we're getting our 2 weeks of winter right now.
Good deal. Good deal. So,
Sabina from Poland. Hey, Michael's out
Sabina.
there. Michael arrived in Sochi yesterday.
Wonderful.
This
Michael,
is his second
welcome.
trip in the last couple weeks.
Dobra
Hello,
Pajalovat.
Wolf.
Hedel Wolf in the house. Got 19 in the live, and we're perking up a bit, so that is good. We got a lot to talk about. 'Cause we're going to cover Kash Patel, and he not confirmed today, as of yet, right? Or is
As of yet, no.
I don't. Is Congress meeting today? Is that going to happen
I
today,
don't-
or is it going to happen tomorrow?
I don't think they are. I think it's going to be tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Let's ask our good friend GPT.
Michael says it's +5 at the moment with rain. And that's in St. Pete, Mike?
That's in Sochi.
Oh, rather, I'm sorry. So he's in Sochi. For some reason, I was thinking St. Pete. Yeah, no, that sounds right. That sounds right for Sochi. Nice. So what is Chat GPT? I use Grok.
As
I
of
prefer
February
Grok.
16th, the Senate has not yet scheduled a final confirmation vote for Kash Patel.
All right, so they're dragging their feet.
Yeah, probably because they know that the Republican Senate will confirm him anyway. You know, they had the same vote that they had on Tulsi, 12-10 on party lines.
Mm-hmm. And it'll happen again.
Those who watched that committee meeting, Raymond, howdy. Those who watched that committee hearing, obviously the Republicans were prepared. He was prepared, and the Democrats were just lobbing snowballs.
Speaking of snowballs, I'm going to play this cold open again because I
love it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, because this is what's going to happen.
We have a spectacle!
Also, it took 3 months to build, so I don't want to waste it.
I give you the War Wolf!
They throwing out the trash, man. Throwing out the trash.
Yep, they are.
Yeah. Shifty shift. Shifty shift. So,
Yeah. Where do you want to start with this conversation? There's so many directions we could go.
there are so many different directions that we could go. Here's the thing. It's like where is it?
Emily,
I didn't even present it because I can't. But they hate this guy. I mean, if you think about it, Democrats hate Trump team
yes.
completely. Team Trump is hated. And you got to ask yourself why. Everyone is a major, major pipe hitter. And Kash Patel is no slouch, and he is hated by many in the swamp. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why is Schiff shitting in his pants? And not only him, there's quite a few in the Democratic Party, and I would even venture to say there's some Republicans as well that
Agreed.
probably do not want Kash Patel lurking around the FBI. So I've got some clips that I'd like to share with you guys because, like I said, we can talk about so much, but you got to ask yourself, why is Schiff crapping in his pants? Okay, so I've got a little video that I'm going to play here, and then we'll talk about it.
On Russiagate, saying he had evidence Donald Trump colluded with Russia, saying the intelligence community had all this information, and then going out to the mainstream media and feeding them these lies because they were in bed with him to spread a false narrative for 4 years and bamboozle the world into believing that Russiagate actually happened and Donald Trump conspired with Russia. It was a total falsehood. Adam Schiff knew it at the time. I was running the Russiagate investigation. He was the leader of the minority on the House Intel Committee. Devin Nunes was then chairman. He had access to all the information we had access to. The transcripts are the best example. The 60-some-odd transcripts that I took at depositions of cabinet secretaries, Intel officials, DOJ, FBI, Fusion GPS, all the like. We finally forced those deposition transcripts to light, and what did they show? The headline, Adam Schiff knew the entire time there was no factual basis to perpetuate the Russiagate narrative. So when a guy like that issues this tweet, I just think America should pause and say, the King Kong of disinformation is now coming up and saying he's all of a sudden scared that Twitter is going to be the landing ground for disinformation, when you and I have been talking about it rightly so over the last few years. Twitter has been the ground where people spread defamation, where people attack others mercilessly. And Twitter's hypocrisy on who they let on their platform and who they kick out has been on full display for years. They've suspended folks like, obviously, President Trump, Babylon Bee, and all these other journalists who were actually doing fact-based reporting because they had the audacity to say.
So, Kash talking about Russia, 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 and where all that started. And this goes back to the first Trump term. And I think Schiff has reason to be scared because, as many have alluded, Kash knows where the bodies are buried.
You think Schiff is shifting in his pants?
I do. I really do.
I think there's lots of them that know that Patel knows where the bodies are buried. That entire confirmation hearing showed who is scared and who isn't. I mean, it's obvious that they had a good idea what the questions would be for him, and he was prepared for them. Would you, investigate something you knew that was illegal if Trump ordered you to? His answer was perfect. I believe in upholding the Constitution. Didn't say yes, didn't say no, but I believe in upholding the Constitution. Now, they pushed him on that, didn't get very far. You notice that the Republicans had a response for every question that the Democrats had. The Democrats were doing nothing but testifying, not even asking questions. An occasional couple. But
because they didn't want to hear from him.
Yeah. And how about the one guy who did his tirade? I don't remember which one it was that, he finished his statement, slammed his fist down, and got up and walked out.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of cowards. Most of them are. And even and even McConnell,
Yeah.
McConnell was a no vote for Tulsi and a no vote for RFK Jr. And I anticipate he'll probably be a no vote on Kash Patel. What is this guy doing in Congress still, and still calling himself a Republican?
Yeah. The one that really threw me in all of this, with the way that Patel is put himself forward on every issue, was Lindsey Graham. He's a good man. He's qualified. I mean, he was exceptionally supported. It's like the first time in 30 years I could actually pat him on the back and say, good job, Lindsey.
Lindsey, when he wants to back somebody up, actually does a really good job. He really, really does. But then when he gets this Dracula look in his face, in his eyes, and his fangs start coming out, and you see blood starting to drool from him because he's get this taste for war, and he wants war. Obviously, he wants war, but he doesn't want to fight it. He wants you and your sons and your daughters to fight it.
I am so proud of this war because no Americans have died.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, President Z.
Yeah, so
not recognized as the legal president of Russia, or the legal president of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. Sorry, had to put that there for our own protection.
Yeah, Lindsey says it's the best money we've ever spent. Best money we've ever spent. This is crazy. Crazy talk.
He's been crazy for a while. They need age limits on the presidency and the Senate and the House in the United States.
Yeah, that's a good point, Raymond. McConnell is the main man receiving and distributing campaign funds to other Republicans. So he holds the power over that because he holds the purse strings.
Does it also mean maybe he has a bloody knife in his back pocket? And he's a little bit afraid.
I'm sure he does. But, there's a lot of people that need to be afraid of Kash Patel. Especially if you're on the wrong side of the law.
Yeah. They really went after him about his background and not being qualified. And they were real quick to submit the list of all the FBI officers, high-ranking FBI officers, that put their support behind him.
Yeah. Here's a good one.
And I don't know if anyone else who watched it noticed this, but one of the Republicans put together a bingo card with all the questions that they expected to be asked of Kash, and checked them all off.
Incredible. I've got another little video that I want to show because, You know, we've got Russia and the Russia Gate, and that whole deal about Adam Schiff. But we also have January 6th and the insurrection that was worse than 9/11, right? And there have been a lot of stories about whether or not there were undercover agents there. But anyway, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But
Yeah.
let's
Notice Emily's comment here. They need to implement Russia's open window policy.
Yep.
Jade,
Yeah.
just so you know that, for some strange reason, guys who are a little out there like that, we don't have locks on 20, 30-story high windows in hotels. And people, they get drunk, they open the window and they fall out.
This is true. This is true. All right. Let's listen to Kash here.
FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
So while you're bringing in the right people, you've got to shrink government. Wow. That sounds like something Elon would say.
Yeah. And the Democrats really pushed him in that committee meeting over that point exactly. And he basically said the same thing. He says, why do we have all these guys in Washington, D.C., a little tiny city? And he says, I want some of those guys out in the rural areas, like where I live, out in the Midwest, on the West Coast, looking for criminals.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, I know over the years, I've known several feds at the local level. And of course, everyone is eyed on DC. This is where you want to wind up. This is where you want to end your career, is in DC. So every position in government has these little check boxes that to get to this position, you need to check these boxes off. And many people are just concerned with getting this box checked. Doesn't mean that I'm good at what I do or if I'm good at my job or not. I just need to have time in this grade, time in this job so that I can apply for this other job. And so you've got a lot of career-minded people that are just career-minded. They're not mission-oriented. They're not, company men like we used to have.
They are, to put it in Elon Musk terms, they are in the engineering department, coming in late, going home early, and taking 6-hour lunches in between the 6 hours they're at work.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens. That happens. Whoop, sorry.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Mike says he was one of the hundreds of volunteers who helped January 6 prisoners and their families as they were released in the middle of the night. After Trump took office, 1,500 political prisoners. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Yeah, that's such a sad story. And I think I didn't upload this particular video. Let me see if I can find it, guys. Cover me for a minute, Kev. I've got a great video that I need to find. I think it's right here. Yep, I didn't upload it. Let me upload it now. So this is
defender who defended a lot of these types of cases. What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been at, hang on, but the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup, minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape. As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been at, hang on, but the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup, minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape.
Doesn't it sound like Kash already knows that for sure?
Yep.
I mean, he sounds so confident. It's like, once you can prove this, it's a done deal. The whole narrative falls apart, and you know that there were informants in the crowd. And
Yep.
it sounds like he is so positive, like he knows it's there. He knows it's there.
Well, you know, it's like the Democrats trying to paint him as a bad guy, calling the Capitol Police. What was the term he used? I don't know, something in uniform, cowards in uniform, something like that. And he kept trying to say, you took it out of context. You took it out of context, but they weren't going to let him get that out of his mouth. So it took one of the Republicans to pull out the entire statement. And he was actually referring to not letting the National Guard go out when they were asked to go out.
Yeah. Incredible. Mike is saying it was disgusting what was done to them. Organized persecution, including torture by BOP staff. Yeah, I've heard some of that. All of that is going to come out, I'm sure. And
you know, they're trying to beat up the Trump administration for letting a couple of criminals out. They did. They admit they did. Mistakes happen. But I can tell you, I know personally a mother of 3 children who was there, got arrested, got sent to prison, and she was just there. You know, she wasn't violent or anything. So thankfully, she got let go too.
yeah, crazy, crazy. I think it's always, here Odious Wright says, I think it's always informants in the crown, whatever the protest is. They are used for provocations or just gathering intel about the leaders, or are they going with hidden cameras, recording faces? Absolutely,
Amen,
because
brother.
you see this in other countries as well. Recently, we've seen them in Georgia. We've seen them where else?
Armenia,
Romania,
Poland.
Germany, Poland. I mean, we can just name it. Basically, wherever USAID is, you see this. And it's all
They're a
organized.
humanitarian organization, Eddie.
Humanitarian, my behind. Yeah, this is going to be good. So you've got Kash Patel. We know he's going to be confirmed. We know he's going to be confirmed. And you know he's going to torch the FBI, which needs to be. And yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got one more video that I want to show about Kash Patel with regard to the deep state, because we've always talked about doing a show about the deep state. Does it exist? What is it if it exists? And Kash is asked this question by Sean Ryan. I hope I don't get dinged on this on YouTube for using it, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's got subtitles in a different language because, well, that's how I found it. So don't mind the subtitles, but get a load of what Kash has to say about the deep state.
It sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is an apolitical entity that operates in government to service itself instead of the American people. And what I mean by that is it's leadership positions across government, whether it's DOJ, FBI, DOD, CIA, whatever, combined with underlying positions that are pretty senior up, who work with mainstream media entities to perpetuate frauds on the American people, to commit government corruption, and to stay in power and to lie to the American people and to rob them of the truth. That is the singular purpose of the deep state, because they think once the truth gets out, their corruption is going to be exposed. They might get prosecuted for breaking the law. And once that happens, you have an explosion in D.C.
It seems so well organized to me.
It is. Oh.
So who's at the end of it? Is it a country? Is it U.S. politicians? Is it the World Economic Forum? Like, where it's so well orchestrated, there has to be an organizer. And so who is the organizer?
I don't think that there's one specific organizer. I think there is a group of organizations that have participated in it for a while. The World Economic Forum is a piece of it. Certain politicians are a piece of it. Certain people who become AGs, directors of the FBI, directors of the CIA, etc., are a piece of it. And of course, the mainstream media is a big component of it. All of those entities partner up together to take over Washington, D.C. And instead of doing the job for the American people, they come out and instead come up with government boondoggles that pay themselves billions and billions of dollars, or their friends billions and billions of dollars, which is our dollars. And they want to make sure that that keeps going over and over and over again.
So he just described USAID as a mechanism behind the deep state.
As part of the mechanism behind it.
It's part of it,
Yeah.
part of the machine. Yeah. And so this is one of the reasons that USAID was attacked, or at least Elon and his team and Team Trump have been attacked, because they've opened up this can of worms at USAID, which really knocked some teeth out of the deep state. Deep state's not anywhere near on its deathbed yet. You still see them fighting. You still see them going after Trump. Well, now they're going after J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth. Tulsi really hasn't been on the stage yet, but when her curtain call comes, there are going to be lots of arrows pointed at her. Yeah, because she's been fairly quiet.
Yeah. So I don't remember which one I heard, but I heard just today that they have gone into, or on Monday plan to go into, another one of these humanitarian aid organizations.
Well, they've been into, I believe they got access. I'm talking about Elon's Doge team at IRS. So, hoorah for that.
Yep.
Let's go see what they can dig up there. I'm sure there's plenty of waste and fraud there as well. But
Well, the thing is they're fighting so hard about them going into various organizations like ministry or department. God, I've been in Russia long enough. Department of Education. We know there's a lot of waste there. What does the federal government do other than hand out money to, local school boards to run their organizations? Money that they've taken from the taxpayers that they then give back depending on if you follow their guidelines or not, rather than allowing the local school boards to just run their schools. What would happen if we just gave that money directly to the local school boards and told them go for it? Now, I've seen a lot of waste in the local school boards too.
Well, here's the thing: is that the deep state is not only on a global stage, and it's not only here in the United States as well, but it's at the local level as well. There are many levels to this deep state because you've got corruption at all levels, at the state level, at the county level, at the local level, and even with your local school boards, because I've seen a lot of waste. I've seen a lot of grant money that mysteriously gets misappropriated in a different direction. And of course, sometimes they get caught, sometimes they don't. But yeah, so there's corruption at all levels.
Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with Kash Patel about the Department of Defense. Boy, could I point fingers there. I could name names.
Yeah, I bet you could.
Well. Yeah, they paid me well. What can I say? I made a good living on that.
Yeah. There was a comment that I wanted to show. Here it is. Yeah, I think the CIA, FBI, Endowment for Democracy have to be 100% fully shut down. I don't think it can be saved. Probably less than 30% of their work is useful, if that. But we also have to put in safeguards in place so that they don't replace USAID with another organization that basically does the same thing, but we call it something else. Yeah. So there has to be safeguards in place to prevent this from happening again. And that's, we haven't seen that yet. No one's even talking about that yet because we're still in the discovery phase. And I have a feeling we may be in the discovery phase a year and a half. No telling how deep this corruption and these threads go down deep into the deep state. So I think it's going to be months, if not years, before we figure out the entire truth.
And if they don't put some mechanisms in place to prevent it from happening again, then what you've got is Trump leaves office, and unless somebody from his current administration, like Vance, is elected president, it'll all just come back right away again.
That's true. That is very true. And you know what? That's probably a pretty good segue into another section that we could talk about if we kind of leave Patel for just a bit. And what I wanted to say is that I just wanted to make a commentary that what I've noticed recently in Team Trump is you can't say whole of government approach, but let's call it the whole of administration approach to tackling the deep state. And what I mean by that is there is, from this administration, I've seen more coordination, at least in messaging, in talking points, in delivering the goods. You've got a whole of administration approach So everybody's on the same page. Everybody's tackling the deep state from different angles, from many different layers of it. And I am impressed so far with what I see.
3 weeks in, man, they're kicking butt.
Very fast, very, very fast. And last night there was news during our live, actually, right after we clicked off. There was news that there was a phone call between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the behest of Rubio. And so, and of course, the press release that went out from the Kremlin stated that it was quite positive. And in fact, I want to read some of the bullet points
Yeah, I was going to
from
say.
that, because they were really amazing. And I've got to translate this because I got it from RIA Novosti. But it says Lavrov and Rubio, during the telephone conversation, as reported by the Russian Foreign Ministry, confirmed their readiness to work on restoring mutually respectful dialogue.
Yes.
Huge. Agreed on regular contacts, including to prepare for the meeting between Putin and Trump. Agreed on maintaining a channel of communication to resolve the accumulated problems and relations between the two countries. In other words, you got beef, let's talk about it. Discuss ways to stop Obama's line of tightening the conditions for the work of Russian diplomatic missions in the United States. And we can talk about that here in just a minute. Agreed to organize a meeting of experts to coordinate steps to remove mutual obstacles to the work of Russia and U.S. missions abroad. And lastly, confirmed their commitment to interaction on current international issues, including Ukraine and the Middle East. But
So you're saying, to sum that all up, they've actually agreed to diplomacy.
they've agreed, yes. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like Rubio saying, "We're not Biden. We're not Team Biden anymore." You know, you don't have what was that idiot's name? I mean, Blinken, Blinken.
Winky, blinking, and a nod.
Yeah, no. We could talk, and we can talk like adults in the room, and we can leave the children like Zelensky on the sidelines. The EU and the barking chihuahuas from the Baltic states, we can leave them on the sidelines. Let's talk. And yeah, I'm really, really hopeful. For the first time in many, many years, I'm actually hopeful that we can see better relations. There already are better relations between Russia and the United States than we've seen in the previous 20, 30 years.
They've had numerous conversations in the last 3 weeks. You know,
Absolutely.
which hasn't occurred 4 years before that. You know, I would say that the United States has been lacking diplomacy going back even before Biden. Even when Trump was president the first time, he did some himself, but his administration wasn't on board with it with him. Now his entire administration, you notice they're all singing the same tune.
They're all in unison. There is a beautiful chorus of voices, and this is really pissing off the EU. This is really ruffling the panties of the UK. Okay, let's just call it what it is. And and here's the thing: Trump hasn't had any face-to-face meetings with anyone from Europe. None.
Hasn't called him on the phone.
Who has Trump spoken to, and who has he met with in person? So we've got
Putin.
Putin for one. He did call Zelensky, but it was like, "Hey man, just want to let you know that I spoke to Vlad, and
And
we've
you're
kind of
screwed.
agreed on some things."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll email you. We'll be in touch. My people will call your people. Bye. It was one of those.
Yeah.
So Putin and Netanyahu and Modi.
Modi.
Wolf.
Yeah.
He met with Modi in person because Modi traveled to the U.S. to meet
To the U.S.
with President Trump. He's spoken with no one from the EU. Macron? Nope. Nobody.
So we talked a little bit about this last night. Somebody had said they were holding this big EU Commission meeting in Kiev, which we called out. So is what you've got now is because Trump hasn't talked to any of them, we've got Macron trying to organize an EU Commission meeting in Paris. And, the old story, and this started with Macron back, 4 or 5 years ago, that rather than relying on NATO, they need to have their own military, an EU military. So that's come back up again. But reality is, when they can only afford to send 25,000 troops to Ukraine, how would they ever expect to defend themselves without the help of the United States?
You said the magic word, and that is afford. So the SMO in Ukraine and the sanctions, and by the way, I think there's another sanctions package. Let me just read this.
Yeah.
EU sanction package number, where is it?
473.
I've got to find it. Hang on. I read it earlier today, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
What can they sanction at this point?
Oh, yeah. On February 19th, the EU permanent representatives plan to agree on the 16th package of sanctions against Russia, which we approved by the union's foreign ministers on February 24th. It's like, okay.
The problem is you've already got Hungary and Slovakia saying that they will refuse to support the sanctions and refuse to send more money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
This is one of those Russian things my wife taught me. You get that pinky finger of the fist loose, and then all the rest of the fingers are easy to pull apart.
Yeah. No, the main reason, not the main reason, but one of many, many reasons that NATO and the EU are furious is Trump has said, basically, you guys are on your own. Okay? We're not going to support you, and we're not going to lead you around the way we used to. New sheriff in town, and we're not doing this anymore. It's almost as if, and here's something that I don't think J.D. Vance quite articulated this, but it is at the core of what he said. You guys are nation states. You guys are sovereign nations. Act like it. You have citizens who vote in democratic elections for you to represent, and you're not representing them. We're not going to lead you around anymore. You're not vassals of the U.S. anymore, basically, because there's no more USAID. We're not funding NATO the way we used to, and we're not supporting it like we used to. You guys are on your own. And I think that has the EU and these European nations scared shitless. Because
think about it.
Their economies are in shambles.
Yeah.
They can't afford it.
And how did they grow their economies in the first place? only because they were under the security umbrella of the United States, so they didn't have to worry about that.
Correct. So they
now
could grow
their
their economy.
economies are already in the toilet because of high electricity, high gas.
Right.
This was an odd statement. Sorry for pinging on Trump on this one, but clean coal, and you know, and now they have to defend themselves too.
Now they have to defend themselves, and defending yourself is expensive because who are you going to buy your arms from? Who is the largest manufacturer of killing weapons in the world? Pretty much the U.S. That's what we export. We export
blood.
Especially, let's just call it what it is. That's what we export. And we're proud of it. Many people are. I'm not, but many people are. And guess what? Who's going to pay for that? You know, when NATO was created and they started coming out with NATO standards, I don't know if any of y'all really understand what these NATO standards are. These are NATO standards for military weapons, but a lot of these NATO standards also found their way into commercial production for whatever. But anyway, since you're a NATO partner, you can only buy NATO approved weaponry, NATO approved ammunition. And guess what? Oh, we have a preferred vendor who manufactures this. So you have to buy it from them, and you're going to pay what they're asking for because it's a pre-negotiated price. So it's all about money. It's driven by money. And NATO can't afford to defend themselves.
And senior politicians, Biden administration guys, former administration guys, are running these companies. They're on the board of directors.
Very astute of you, Erica Ray, because this is one of the reasons the Russian Federation has been able to ramp up its war footing and to support the special military operation. They have plentiful, affordable energy. Wouldn't you say, Kevin?
I would say. I don't know what you guys, what gasoline goes for up there. I do the conversion down here all the time. It comes out to about $2.25 a gallon here if we were buying by the gallon.
I don't pay attention to the price of gas or fuel because I don't buy it.
Well, yeah, you have like reasonable public transport, but reality is that's even at wartime when that's money that's being used to pay for the production of arms.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Russia's innovating.
I'm going to bring this up. George's Boots. Why does YouTube delay your live stream? I just got notified. I don't know, but this is a good time to mention that if you are subscribed to either Moscow Photographer or American in Crimea channel, make sure that you hit the notification. That's that little bell icon when you subscribe, so that when we do upload new content or we do announce a live, you will get a notification from YouTube eventually. Hopefully it'll be fairly instantaneous. But yeah, you've got to make sure that your notification is turned on. So, and if you aren't subscribed to our channels, why not? Doesn't cost you anything, and you got great content because you got a couple of idiots here in Russia talking about what's going on in the world.
And click the like button; it helps us.
Click the like button if you haven't done it already. click it. If you do not like this content, click the like button. No. Click the I want you to click the thumbs down, but click it twice. Yeah. Really give it to us.
Yeah. Yeah, to answer your question, George, it's probably because we're streaming from Russia. And even though Google has said they are no longer censoring and no longer deprioritizing streams out of Russia, they still are.
Yeah, I'm shadow banned in many ways, which is and I've thought about doing a video about this because I can actually bring up the analytics for videos and actually show how the algorithm kind of plays with our videos.
Yeah.
And it's not fair, but it's like, what can you do? So, but that's something for another show. But Raymond's paying $3.23 per gallon. Premium's over $4. And Mike
So this
says,
is an interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say on Raymond's comment here, that's an interesting thing here. We don't actually have regular in Russia. Our regular is actually premium, and then we have super premium, and we have ultra premium.
That's
So
what I want to say.
Yeah, I'm buying 92 octane, which is not the highest price one at $2.25 a gallon.
Yeah, no such thing as regular unleaded here. It's all premium gas.
Yeah.
When you fill up. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. But yeah, so Raymond's Middle America and Mike Lacey as well in the Ozarks of Missouri paying $2.89. That's closer to what we were paying in Texas when I was down there. It would fluctuate. Sometimes it would be, say, about $2.47, $2.49, and then the next day it would be $2.69, like 20 cents in a day. And then it would just kind of fluctuate up and down from there.
My daughter tells me she's paying a little bit over $4 a gallon in Colorado. Democratic state, higher taxes.
Yeah. And good question. If we have different fuel systems for vehicles here or not. I don't know, but the higher octane is your car is going to run better anyway.
Yeah. So Odious, missed it. Odious, I drive a Chinese car and their recommended is 92 on it. Does my car actually get 95 sometimes? Yeah, but I'm not going to use a higher octane than I always have to.
Sergey says it's €2.19 per liter on the highway.
Where is that, Sergey?
Where are you at, Sergey? Put that in the comments. Etta Wolf is paying US $2.66 a gallon for the cheap stuff, 87 octane.
Jeez.
That's the one that makes.
Yeah, it was just a light bulb going off when I figured out that you couldn't buy 87 octane here.
Yeah, but then your lifters are rattling and stuff, when you're with 87 octane. All right, Sergey's in the Netherlands. Wow. Okay. Let's put this up there again. Can you guys put it into perspective? All right, that's not even $2.19 because the euro is more expensive than the dollar, but per liter, not per gallon. Wow. Incredible.
Okay, that's $2.30 US.
$2.30 US per liter. Incredible. Yeah. 3.7 liters per gallon. Yep, do the math.
It's almost $9. Whew. But Sergey, the good news is you aren't using that cheap Russian gas anymore.
You install the propane fuel system and have the full tank. $13. Yeah. A lot of farmers
Yep.
do that back in Texas.
A lot of cars down here have that, at least in Crimea. I
Oh, really?
assume Odious probably is referring to the rest of Russia as well, but yeah, lots of cars are run on propane.
Interesting. What we got here? There's a question there for you if you want to tackle it.
Yeah, if we're officially off topic at this point.
No, we're not off topic, but we can just, or we can address
Get
it
out of
later.
the way, huh? So George's, I picked Yalta because my mother-in-law lived here. She was ill. My wife was traveling here to take care of her. I came got stuck here due to the unmentionable virus. But of course, we bought an apartment here in 2015. My mother-in-law moved here in 2014. We bought an apartment in 2015, mainly because she was here. If I was going to pick a place to live in Russia, other than on this peninsula, it would probably be Krasnodar. There's things I like about Krasnodar over Yalta. There's things I like about Yalta over Krasnodar. So it was purely family issue. She's just lucky she didn't pick the city of Miss Whore. I told her she actually was going to buy one there, and my wife had to explain to her the significance of the city name to an American. I just could not say that I live in Miss Whore.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say I'm going to Miss War. So, 265 in New Jersey and 234 for 87 octane in Houston area. Yeah, it doesn't cost much to transport fuel from the refineries along the Gulf Coast to the Houston area. So, yeah, it's cheaper.
Yeah, what's the exchange rate these days? About 84? Or 94?
For what, 84 to a ruble?
Yeah, 90 something, right?
I have no idea. I haven't checked it recently.
Yeah, 93.7. Okay, so gas right now is costing me $2.36 for a gallon.
And Ray's paying 140 euro per liter for diesel.
I know that a liter of diesel here, we're paying about 60 rubles for 92 octane, about 64 rubles for the 95. Our diesel is running about 70 rubles a liter. So less than a buck a liter.
For diesel, not bad. Here's a pretty good question. I don't know if we want to tackle it right now, but we can talk about it later. Hungary is paying 140 per euro, or 150 euro per liter. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Eric is up in my old stomping grounds. So
Erica says that there's extra city taxes tacked on gasoline. Incredible.
Yep. I come from up there. It's cold. You have to pay extra in taxes to keep those crappy Minnesota roads, falling apart when they're supposed to.
Crazy. So, how much is everyone? Well, here's a good question we could ask. What's everybody paying for eggs?
Well, I know we're paying about 10 cents an egg for large eggs down here in Crimea.
About 10 cents. Okay, that's about right.
Yeah.
We're paying
We go
anywhere
to the
maybe
farmer's
10,
market,
12
9
cents.
cents. Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Canada's paying $4 US per gallon. Yeah.
What do you say?
Egg prices in the US, $7 a dozen near Las Vegas, according to George's.
Woo!
Dang.
$3.50 a dozen in Italy. So let's put that in perspective. So here in Crimea, we're paying 10 cents. So for a dozen, 120 rubles. So about $1.27 a dozen. Yeah, that's about right.
$1.27.
Yes, about $1.10 for 10 eggs. Here they sell eggs in 10s, not in 12s.
10s and 30s.
Or 30s, yeah. Western Kentucky, $5.46.
What a value. What a great value, huh?
$3.70 in Canada.
G-Man's paying $2 for 10 eggs in Tbilisi, Georgia. And in New York, they're saying they're selling Lucy's or individually. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we can buy them here that way as well. It's kind of interesting to go into the store and you pick up 3 or 4 eggs and they give it to you in a plastic bag.
20 eggs for €5.99 in the Netherlands. Wow. Crazy.
Man.
What do we have?
Whole lot of golden chickens laying golden eggs.
So, what other topics have we got? We're about the hour, and this is usually where we kind of like slow it down and kick it into and wind things down.
One question you starred.
Yeah, we can kind of talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we could. You know, I guess is what I would say on this, in my opinion. Being in a territory that was Ukrainian and is now under the control of Russia, I would expect that the Donbas regions would probably have a similar path as to what Crimea did. There will be a lot of moving towards the Russian way of doing it. Of course, Crimea is now, 11 years on that path, and we are still the redheaded stepchild of Russia. So, you know, we may get our hair dyed in the next year, and they'll become the redheaded stepchildren. But the opportunities, right now, the opportunities are building. There are a lot of people doing construction work up there. A lot of Chechen companies have come in to do the building, like in Mariupol, and they're paying good money to the construction workers. But they expect that they're going to work extremely hard. You know, industry is going to take a while to develop. They're going to have to develop new infrastructure, new gas, new electric, you know, new roadways, new trains. So there's a lot of infrastructure that has to go in before you start seeing businesses go in. One of the advantages Crimea has over those regions is because we're on the sea with other countries that are Russia friendly, we actually get a lot of trade through here that they will not have go through up there as easily. So they aren't going to have the tourism that we have. So, I'm not saying it's going to be bleak up there. I think it's just going to take a while for something to develop.
Yeah, what I would like to add to that is, of course, we don't know, and I can't say this for sure, but I've stated it before. But I think Odessa has a future, and I believe that future is in Russia. So, don't know if it'll happen, but I think it will, and I think that would be good for that area as well, for the same reasons that you're talking about with Crimea. Is you've got a port, a seaport, and you can bring a lot of goods directly to that area, and that would feed the LPR, the DPR, all that. So the Donbas would flourish if Odessa were within Russia.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I mentioned this last night. Donbass has a lot of minerals, natural ores, coal, things like that. And China is already planning to build factories up there to do the mining. So there will be a lot of industry up in those areas that we don't have down here. You look at like Kherson, there'll be good farming up in that area. They've got good fertile land. So it's really just going to take some time to develop stuff.
Yeah, but the opportunities for development, and of course, you've heard Trump allude to this as well for Ukraine and what's left of it for development as well. So big opportunities no matter what side you're on. But Odious Wright has a quick question here. How long will it take to fold after the U.S. will cut support completely? I could sit here and just make an uneducated guess, but supposedly Trump and Putin are going to meet as early as next week. I haven't heard anything officially about that, but it could happen as early as next week or the week after, possibly in Saudi. So we'll see. But I'm thinking, I'll just make my own prediction here. We'll just put it out. 90 days.
Yeah, I don't know. I refuse to make predictions like that since the SMO started. You had guys like McGregor, Ritter, saying, well, it'll be over in 3 weeks and then a couple of months and then by, blah, blah, blah. So I won't go into that. I don't think Europe can afford to support them. So I don't think it's going to last long. I talked to some friends who are well connected in the government in the U.S. There last night or morning, and what I'm being told, and this is nothing but rumor and speculation as far as I'm concerned. So don't take it to the bank. Don't come back later and said, but Kevin, you said, is what I was told is this agreement will basically be that Russia and the United States will make an agreement about how far the United States will allow Russia to continue the operation under the auspices that Europe is going to continue funding them and Ukraine isn't going to want to stop. And the US will not step into it as long as they don't cross that line. And, that certain concessions will be made as far as the current territories of what may or may not be recognized by the United States. So it sounds like there's some reasonable negotiations going on. We all know that Trump and Putin can't stop the military operation. They can cut off the funding. And I think that is the death knell for Europe and Ukraine.
Yeah. So it's day by day. I mean, there are, I can't even remember what the saying is, but there are, I can't even remember it. But it seems like we live through a month or 2 months in one day. Just so many things are happening.
Yeah.
And they're happening at breakneck speed. So we will see.
So just since we're on the topic, the Donetsk front is collapsing. I agree with you, Christopher. However, you have to look beyond the regions of Donetsk that are collapsing. Down around Zaporozhye, there has been no movement either way in months and months. Suja, there's some gains, there's some losses, gains, losses. It's back and forth. So, there's several areas where the line is collapsing. There are also several areas where Ukraine is doing a good job of holding the line. So I wish I could remember that saying about war, but the best laid plans are for naught when it comes to war. So
Yeah. And I think, Erica Ray, this is reality. When we speak of Trump being told this is the reality of what's happening in Ukraine, and this is the reality of what's happening at home, is that the U.S. cannot afford to keep funding these forever wars. You cannot make America great again when your dollar is crashing. And it's crashing because you've just got this printing press that's just throwing out money everywhere. So if you see what Team Trump is attempting to do to eliminate the waste, the fraud, the reckless spending, this also means war and bringing down the temperature of how the U.S. deals with other countries. You see that being dialed back. Just to go ahead and mention this as well, this is something we haven't really talked about. Maybe we can talk about this next week, and that is Trump talking about wanting to discuss with China and with Russia on nuclear, not disarmament, but I believe toning down and bringing down the number of weapons that we have in our arsenals. So,
well, I heard that Trump and Putin actually spoke about that the other day. So,
yeah. So it's promising, guys. Very promising.
Yeah. So, being the official propaganda guy around here, Kursk has not collapsed. There's back and forth, and there's very little movement other than today Russia has a territory in Kursk. Tomorrow Ukraine has it. The day after Russia has it. The day after that Kursk Ukraine has it. So that is not necessarily the case. Christopher, I follow Calibrated as well, and as much as people push on the military summary channel that they're slow to update their maps, Calibrated is a little quick to update their maps. They often color territory as Russian held and then are neglecting to post that it has had to have been pushed, recolored back in the other direction. So you have to kind of look at more than one source to kind of get an idea of what's really going on out there. One of the reasons I watch the military summary channel is because he is slow. And, therefore his coloring the map seems to be a little more stable. However, the guy who runs the channel is very opinionated about what is going to happen next, and he's way out there on a lot of things. So, Odious, you know what? It's my business. You know, I watch a lot of channels. I can tell you that I put most of my faith in the Ministry of Defense channel. If they say something's been taken, they're usually pretty accurate. Rybar is darn good, but again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Military summary. He's slow, but it's, you know, it's a very even and two-sided thing. I actually watch 2 Ukrainian Telegram channels all of the time. And I won't mention them because the SBU is trying to shut them down, has been for about 1.5 years now, and has not been successful. So I refuse to name them for exactly that. But, you know, so I'm watching all sides. And Odious, you probably know what those Ukrainian channels are. They're 2 of the biggest ones out there.
Yeah, and even though I do have them on Telegram, these same channels that you're mentioned, I rarely read them. I am more focused on the politics and the what's happening on the diplomatic stage as opposed to what's happening on the battlefield. There was a time when I was just eating it up, and this was during the early parts of the SMO, and yeah, I just don't spend a lot of time on the topics of the battlefield. I rather stay up on top when we're talking about politics and diplomacy.
Yeah, I prefer to be in the politics and diplomacy as well. The battlefield I follow mainly because it's been my job for so long. I, however, use my new handy dandy iPhone 16 Pro that somebody else in the room has to get AI summaries of a lot of this stuff. So, you know, yeah, Emily, I've had people try to teach me about Ukraine as well. I know lots and lots of people in Ukraine. I have firsthand knowledge of a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine. I know people in Kursk. I know people in Donetsk. I have contacts, so I have a pretty good handle of what's going on when and for what reason. Yeah, Odious does as well. He's aware on both sides. And I know perfectly well why Odious. Probably the same reason I do. So.
All right, folks. Well, I think it's time we can wind this one down.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Kash Patel gets confirmed as early as tomorrow, which is Monday. And I will be looking out for that. The worst part about living in Moscow, when you're so focused on what's happening in Washington, is the 8 and 9 hours difference for the news cycle. So my news cycle doesn't start till about 4 or 5 p.m., which is about 7 a.m. in New York. So I'm sitting here all day twiddling my thumbs, reading X and news from yesterday until about 4 or 5 p.m. And then it's like, okay, let's go. And then it's around midnight, 2 a.m., and I'm still scrolling because it's still in the news cycle in the West. So not much sleep.
And everyone wants to live in the future. We do. And there's some downsides to it, too.
Absolutely. That's one of them when you're focused on the West. So anyway, any closing thoughts?
Nope. Let's just hope that Trump can keep up the movement with his team that he's doing, and they can keep knocking things out like they have been without a lot of problems. And
Well,
let's wait
I
for
don't
the
have
next
much
stream.
to.
We'll have another 6 weeks of news to discuss.
Yeah, exactly,
Wait.
exactly. Thanks everybody for being with us. And tomorrow or the next day, I haven't decided. I have to look at the weather. But yeah, I'm going to be putting out a video with regard to all of this that's been happening here, but from a perspective of being in Russia. So be looking out for that.
Yeah.
Next live will be on Kevin's channel next Saturday.
Yep.
Because that's your regularly scheduled live time. My regularly scheduled live is always on Sunday evenings, 8 p.m. Moscow time, and what is that, 9 a.m.? No, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in the States.
Yep.
On Sundays.
And I'm going to add the caveat to that, George's. Unless we decide in the middle of the week we're going to stream on something anyway.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes
something newsworthy happens, and yeah, we'll just come out. But hopefully, if you've got the subscribe and the notification bell, hopefully you'll get notified by YouTube within a timely manner.
Yeah, we're always streaming in the same time frame, though.
Oh,
so
let me tell you guys before we do go, we always announce our lives on our Telegram channels. So as soon as the live has been scheduled, we go to Telegram, we post it there. That will be immediate. So if you are on and subscribe to our Telegram channels, you will know right away. YouTube might, update it later. But yeah.
You will always know on the two channels I just displayed there.
Follow us on Telegram, and there's some links in the description. I'm on X. Kevin's on X as well. Follow us there too. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for hanging out with us on your Sunday. It is Sunday night in Moscow, and I guess Sunday sometime wherever you are. But have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Пока.